I would have bet my life on Clara's loyalty. In a way, I did. For 12 years, she wasn't just my wife. She was the architect of my world, the co-author of my dreams. We had the kind of marriage people wrote about in Sakura novels, the inside jokes, the shared glances across a crowded room that spoke volumes, the comfortable silence that only comes with absolute trust. We built our life from the ground up, starting with a tiny apartment and 2 maxed-out credit cards, and turning it into a beautiful home in the suburbs, a thriving business, and a future that looked as bright and solid as the California sun. Our business, a boutique marketing firm called Nexus Creative, was my other great love. I'd started it with my best friend, Mark, back when we were just 2 ambitious kids with more caffeine than capital. Mark was more than a partner, he was my brother. He was the best man at my wedding, the one I called when my father passed, the steady hand on my shoulder during every crisis. He and Clara were close too. The 3 of us were an inseparable trio. He'd often join us for dinner, and I'd watch him and Clara laughing, feeling a profound sense of gratitude for the perfect life I'd managed to build. My best friend and my soulmate, getting along like a house on fire. What more could a man ask for? The first crack in the foundation was so small I almost missed it. It started with her phone. For years, it had been an open book, lying face up on the kitchen counter, its contents as familiar to me as my own. Then one Tuesday, I noticed it was face down, and the next day, and the day after that. When I picked it up to check the time, a passcode screen I'd never seen before blinked back at me. "Oh, it's a new security update from work," she'd said breezily when I asked. "They're making us all lock our devices. You know how it is with client data." It sounded plausible. I was a business owner. I understood security protocols. I let it go. Then came the late nights. Clara's career in finance had always been demanding, but suddenly she was closing a huge merger that required her to stay at the office until 10 or 11 p.m., sometimes 3 nights a week. She'd come home smelling of fancy restaurant food, not stale office coffee. "Client dinners," she'd explain, looking exhausted. "You have to wine and dine them, Alex. It's part of the game." I'd rub her shoulders, fill a bath for her, and tell myself to be more supportive. I was busy too, trying to land a massive new account for Nexus with Mark, so I understood the pressure. Mark was my sounding board through it all. "She's just driven, man," he'd say over a beer, clapping my back. "That's one of the things you love about her, right? Don't get in your ad about it. You two are rock solid." His reassurance was a balm on my nascent anxiety. He was right. Clara was ambitious. I was being insecure. The real alarm bell, the one that I couldn't silence, rang a month before my 35th birthday. I was looking for a spare charging cable in her jewelry box when my fingers brushed against a velvet pouch I didn't recognize. Inside was a delicate platinum necklace, a single perfect sapphire suspended from the chain. It was stunning and expensive. I'd never seen it before. When she got home, I pulled it out, ready to tease her about her secret shopping habit. "Oh, that," she said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. I treated myself, a little bonus I got for landing the preliminary merger agreement. "Do you like it?" I told her it was beautiful, but a cold knot formed in my stomach. The next day, while cleaning out her car, I found a crumpled receipt from a high-end men's boutique stuffed in the side door pocket. The date matched the day she supposedly bought the necklace. The item description was vague, but the price matched what I guessed the necklace was worth. A men's store? Why would she lie? When I confronted her, my heart hammering against my ribs, she had an answer ready. "Oh my God, Alex, you're not going to believe this. I bought it from a guy at work. His brother owns that store, and he gets a massive discount. I paid him in cash, and he must have left his receipt in the bag." It was convoluted, but she looked me straight in the eye, her expression a mixture of hurt and expiration that I would even question her. I wanted to believe her so desperately that I forced myself to. I apologized for my suspicion and tried to bury the incident. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and it was beginning to sprout. The week of my birthday arrived, a date I always cherished. I'd planned a surprise weekend getaway for us to a quiet coastal town. On Wednesday, as I was about to book the hotel, she dropped the bomb. "Honey, I'm so sorry," she began, her face a mask of genuine distress. "The merger is at a critical stage. My boss has called a mandatory all-hands-on-deck conference this weekend in the city. I have to be there. I feel absolutely terrible." The disappointment was a physical blow. "Your boss scheduled a mandatory conference on a weekend?" I asked, the doubt I tried to bury resurfacing. "It's the only time the international partners could fly in," she said, her eyes welling with tears. "Please don't be mad. I promise I will make it up to you." Seeing her so upset, I melted. I hugged her, told her I understood, that work was work. Even Mark, when I told him, was sympathetic. "That's rough, man, but hey, we can have a guy's weekend. Or better yet, you should go surprise her." And that's when the idea sparked. It was a stupid romantic comedy idea, but it felt right. On Friday, the day of my birthday,
I'd drive into the city, check into her hotel, and surprise her. We could at least have a late birthday dinner together. It would be a grand, romantic gesture. That Friday, I packed a small overnight bag, a bottle of champagne chilling in a cooler on the passenger seat.
I called the hotel she told me she was staying at, the Westin, to confirm the conference name so I could find her easily. "I'm sorry, sir," the receptionist said politely. "We have no conference booked under that company's name this weekend." Ice flooded my veins. "Are you sure? It's for Sterling Financial." "Quite sure, sir. We have a dental convention and a wedding, but no corporate events." I hung up, my hand trembling. Maybe she got the hotel wrong. I called her phone. It went straight to voicemail. Panic, cold and sharp, clawed at my throat. My mind was racing, trying to find a logical explanation, but every road led to the dark place I'd been avoiding for months. Then I remembered the Find My Phone feature we'd set up years ago for emergencies. This felt like one. With shaking fingers, I logged into our family account. Her phone's location popped up on the map. It wasn't at the Westin. It was across town, at a place called the Viceroy, a ridiculously expensive and intimate boutique hotel, known for its discretion. I drove, my foot pressing the accelerator harder than it should. The city lights blurred into streaks of neon pain. I didn't know what I was going to do. Scream? Cry? Make a scene? All I knew was that I had to see it for myself. I parked the car, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. I walked into the lobby, a ghost in a five-star haunt. I approached the front desk, my mind a blank slate of fury. And then I saw them, not in a room, but right there in the warmly lit, opulent bar off the lobby. Clara was sitting at a small, secluded table. She was wearing a stunning black dress I'd never seen, the sapphire necklace glowing against her skin. She was laughing, her head tilted back in that way she did when she was truly, unreservedly happy. And sitting across from her, holding her hand, his thumb stroking her knuckles, was Mark, my best friend, my brother. The world didn't just stop, it fractured into a million pieces. The air left my lungs. The sight was so fundamentally wrong, it was like seeing the sun rise in the west. Mark, the man who had told me I was being crazy. Mark, who was supposed to be my partner in everything. He leaned in and said something, and Clara's smile widened. He had the same look on his face that I'd seen 100 times when he looked at something he wanted to acquire, a look of focused, predatory desire. But the twist of the knife was yet to come. I didn't rush in. Some cold, detached part of my brain took over. I hid behind a large marble pillar and listened. Their voices carried in the quiet ambiance of the bar. "Is he still planning on signing the revised partnership agreement on Monday?" Clara asked, her voice low and conspiratorial. "Hook, line, and sinker," Mark replied with a smirk. "He trusts me completely. He has no idea the new clause gives me controlling interest if the company's valuation suddenly drops, which, thanks to your leaks to our competitor, it's about to do." Clara squeezed his hand. "And the offshore accounts are ready? All set. Once he signs, we start liquidating the key assets. By the time he figures out what's happened, Nexus will be a hollow shell, and we'll be in the Caymans. He'll be left with nothing but debt and a broken heart." It wasn't just an affair. It was a coup, a long, calculated, devastating betrayal designed to strip me of everything I had ever worked for. My marriage was the Trojan horse. Her late nights, the client dinners, the lies, it was all part of a meticulous plan to ruin me. The affair was just a perk for them, a bonus for their monstrous collaboration. I didn't confront them. I turned and walked out of that hotel, a hollowed-out man. I drove for hours with no destination, the champagne bottle rolling on the floor with every turn. The pain was indescribable, a physical agony that settled deep in my chest. The woman I loved and the man I called my brother had conspired to destroy me. But as the sun began to rise, something shifted. The grief was still there, a raging ocean inside me, but a new feeling emerged from the depths, cold, hard resolve. They thought I was a fool. They were about to find out how wrong they were. The next 72 hours were a blur of calculated action. I didn't go home. I contacted the best forensic accountant and the most ruthless divorce lawyer I could find. I spent my birthday weekend not on a romantic getaway, but in a sterile office, poring over documents, giving them every password, every detail. The accountant found the offshore transfers within a day. The lawyer drew up the papers. On Monday morning, I walked into the Nexus creative office. Mark was there, a bright, false smile on his face.
"There's the birthday boy, ready to sign the new agreement and take us to the next level," he boomed. "Absolutely," I said, my voice eerily calm. I walked to the conference room. Clara was already there, holding a file, playing the part of the supportive wife who had just rushed back from her conference. I didn't sit down. I walked to the head of the table and placed 2 stacks of papers down, one in front of Clara, one in front of Mark. They weren't partnership agreements. They were divorce filings and a lawsuit for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. Their faces went from confusion to horror as they read the first page. Clara's face crumpled, her perfect composure shattering into a million pieces. Mark started to bluster, to deny, but I held up a hand and played a recording from my phone, their conversation from the hotel bar. I had gone back that night and recorded them from an adjacent table. Silence. Utter, damning silence. "You didn't just break my heart," I said, my voice low and steady, devoid of the emotion that was tearing me apart inside. "You tried to break my life. You underestimated me." The aftermath was messy but swift. The legal battle was brutal, but the evidence was overwhelming. I won. I got the company, what was left of it, and I got my life back, piece by piece.
I sold the house we'd built together, unable to stomach the ghosts of a life that had been a lie. It's been a year. I've rebuilt Nexus Creative from the ashes, stronger and smarter than before. The scars are still there, etched onto my soul. Trust is a foreign concept to me now, a language I no longer speak. Sometimes, late at night, I still feel the phantom pain of that double betrayal. But I am not broken. I am alone, but I am standing. They took my love and my friendship, but in the end, they could not take my strength. And in the quiet of my new life, I've come to realize that's the only thing you can ever truly bet your life on.